Hello everyone, welcome to A Foreigner Farming in the Philippines. People have been asking for a farm update, what's going on in the fields, and so I'll give you a little farm update here on the fields. This one is the latest one that we planted in corn. This is the east side of field 5, and it's so-so. The germination of the corn that was planted is about 75% only. Not that great, but it's there. It's growing. This is the first time that I've actually been down to this field in 3 days. And it's, as I age out, let's say, it's becoming crystal clear to me that I can't do what I used to do on this farm. And unlike what the brain dead trolls like to say, I did a lot, which I have not been doing for like the last 3 months. And it looks it. I should have come down here a week ago, 10 days ago, and replanted all of what did not come up here, all of what was planted before. But I can't anymore. And I talked to Marcel a couple days ago about, what she wants to do. And Marcel is of the opinion that, we bought corn seeds and we still have like, I don't know, half of them left, 3/4 of them left even, of what we bought. And I think what we're going to end up doing, and this part I haven't specifically talked to Marcel about, but it's looking more and more like this is probably what's going to happen. I mean, I can do the fish. I have the energy to do that. This field work, I just can't do it anymore. So what me and Marcel did discuss is planting field 1. It has been planted in corn, and we'll go up and look at that in a minute. And field 2 will probably be planted in corn this week. We'll take stock of how much seed we have left, and possibly field 3 will be planted in corn the following week or the week after. And most likely what is going to happen when we run out of corn seed, we're not going to be planting anything else, any other kind of crops in these fields. It took 3 days worth of labor to clear the weeds out of this field, and that's with this plastic. We can't win the weed battle. As you can see in this field here, this field, which is field 4, because it's overlapping, this field has, you can see it's overlapping. There's plastic there's no gaps in the plastic, whereas in that field, on the low parts, on the canal parts, there's no plastic. But in this field, it was completely covered with the weed barrier plastic. And as you can see, There's weeds everywhere. Not as bad as if there was no plastic, but more weeds. There's so many weeds in both of these fields here, both sides of field 4, that it cuts down on the production of whatever else is planted, whatever we're planting that we want to raise. I cannot get down here and weed this myself anymore. I was never really adept at weeding because it's close to the groundwork, and I really haven't done any of it in the last 18 months. And prior to that, well, the last year. And prior to that, all the weeding I did was with a hoe. The kneeling down on your knees, stooped over kind of weeding, I haven't been able to do that for years. But most definitely can't do it now. And what it boils down to is we can't win the weed battle. No matter what we try, no matter what we do, we can't win the weed battle. It's as simple as that. And the amount of labor required to manually remove these weeds takes up too large of a percentage of the profit. I mean, look at field 3 here. That has 90% plastic coverage as well. And you can't even see the plastic out there because the weeds are so prevalent. The only other solution is to use basically Roundup Ready seeds, the glyphosate, which is done in, probably 90-95% of crops in the United States, of the larger row crop farms anyway, let's say. And I'm just not comfortable with doing that. I mean, I'm wandering through this jungle here, which was cleared 2 months ago. I came through and mowed it all. And where I walk through right there, shoulder high. It's just, you can't win against these weeds. And the only other solution is glyphosate. And again, that isn't free, and it is a chemical. And depending on your personal opinion of Roundup, glyphosate, it's not a great one, in my opinion. I have to balance my opinion of Roundup based on need. The price of food would at least be 3 times as much as it is right now worldwide, were it not for glyphosate. And in my opinion, could be as high as 10 times as high as what it is right now. Because if you don't use the Roundup Ready seeds and then spray the fields with Roundup and everything comes up nice, then you have the same situation that we do, and you have to do it manually. You have to have workers go through the fields and remove the weeds. Which in our case, because of the climate, is a never-ending battle. But regardless of where you're at on the planet, it takes a lot of time and effort. And also in our case, the glyphosate is about 2,500 pesos, so it's about $50 US per gallon. Much cheaper than it is in the States, but nonetheless, it's not free. And combine that with the residue on the food that you're eating and selling, it's just not doable for us. I mean, you can see, look at the difference in those two fields. And there's just as much plastic to the right as there is to the left. And again, that took 2.5 days to clear out field 1 on the left. The corn that was planted in there, or that is planted in there, is up and doing okay. But before we harvest, that's going to require, all total, maybe another 5 or 6 days of weed suppression. And I don't know, it's just, were it a complete solution, I would be a bit more happy with it, but it's not. And what Marcel suggested that we do was just forget about all the crops, forget about the squash, forget about the corn, and just put in bananas. Now me, personally, I would like to keep the row crops going. But as I said, I'm not personally able to do the work that is necessary to keep the row crops going. The bananas are pretty much carefree, whereas the row crops are not. And secondly, I just, because money has been and is so tight here, I hate wasting money. And we spent a lot of money on this drip line and the plastic. And for it to be only marginally effective is disheartening and kind of pisses me off. But it is what it is. And so probably, as it stands now, once we cycle through the last of the corn seed, we're not going to be raising crops for sale in the fields. We're going to be growing bananas in them. Field 3, Field 4, and Field 5 will most likely all be put in bananas. Now we'll leave the plastic in place and the drip lines as well, because they still function, and we can still water the bananas with them. But over time, I'm thinking what's going to happen is that we're going to phase out the drip line and just use the 1/2-inch plastic poly with emitters right at the banana tree, like we did on the bananas over on the other side of, in between Tatai and the caretaker's house. And just water them that way. And depending on what happens in the next 6 months or so with the tilapia and the duckweed, this field 1 right here just might end up being converted into a pond to grow duckweed. I mean, the structure of it is still there. All we got to do basically is put up a dam there right next to those banana trees and call it good. However, I would like to just make a concrete pond, line it all with concrete, the bottom, the sides, because we're not maxed out on the amount of water that we can pump, but we're probably halfway there. And having this field unlined in the bottom would put us at the max. It would be hard to keep 3 feet of water in this pond, if this was a pond. it would be hard indeed. Now we did manage to keep, when we had all these first 3 fields and ponds, we were able to keep the water levels fairly high. But that was, a lot of that was the rainy season. We've got to think about getting through the dry season. And depending on budget, that's probably, if we do decide to convert this into a duckweed growing pond, line it with concrete and make a concrete pond. We'll know what we're going to do from from what the round tanks produce and how effective it is. So that's where we're at. The corn that's planted in field 1 here is up and it's growing, and I had, this is what brought on the discussion about what we're going to do moving forward with the fields, because I wanted Consing and Ippy to come this Saturday and clear field 2 here, the rest of this field, and plant corn. And that's what brought about the whole discussion of Marcel basically saying, piss on it, let's just plant bananas and be done with it. But we have the corn seed, so I don't know. Marcel and I will discuss it further. But I would like to say that for now, we'll plant the rest of the seeds that we have, and then we're probably pretty much going to be done with the crops, other than bananas. And we'll just go from there. Of course, we'll still have the fish, and which I can do. I mean, I can do a water exchange, which is what I'm doing right now. Feed them, keep track of the aeration. I can do all those things with the fish. The fields and the crops, however, I can no longer do, period. So you got to do what you can do. And that's where we're at the moment. Thank you, everyone. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.